Hi, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through Django, Python, and how to use these tools to create a custom HTML template that uses data from Python functions. So without further ado, let's dive right into this video. First, in order to get started, we need to create a Django project. In order to do this, we just do Django admin, start project, and then the name of your project. Mine is going to be my site. I've already created this, so I'm not going to run this function. But once you do, you're going to see that you already have some pre-generated files. The ones that you're going to be using the most are settings.py, which manipulates the settings for your project, and urls.py that routes URLs to different views that you have. So an example would be /about would be redirected to your about page. However, this is just the project, or otherwise the environment. We need to actually create the app in which these views or templates are going to be stored, and also where your Python files are going to be running. In order to do this, we're going to be running the command python manage.py start app, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to be naming it playground. You notice on the coding editor here, we have another package or folder called playground. We have lots of different types of file: admin, apps, models, tests, views, but the one we're going to be using is views.py. This is where we're going to be declaring our views or our templates. What is the website supposed to be rendering? So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to simply render an HTML page. So I'm just going to create a new file, index.html. Going to go back to my views and then render this index.html. In order to do this, we're just going to say def, any function name would work. I'm just going to say render HTML template, pass in a parameter of request, and then here we're just going to return render of request and index.html. All right, now this is just a function. We're not actually doing anything with this. So we're going to create another urls.py that is specific to this specific app. And we're going to declare this URL is going to be connected to this function here. So in order to do that, we're going to say from django.urls import path. And also we're going to be from the local folder import views. And then we're just going to say URL patterns is equal to path of just the normal path is views dot render HTML template. And don't put any parentheses here. So what we did was that we said that at the normal web page, so no like /about, just the normal one, we're going to be rendering the function render HTML template, which renders our HTML page. All right. So before we actually try this out, there is one last step that we need to do. We need to connect this app into our environment. In order to do that, we need to go to the URLs page of the environment and add another path. So we're going to say that the normal path is going to include playground.urls. Oh, and this is going to be a string. So this connects this normal, regular web browser to the URLs that we have here. Let's test our code. In order to do that, we need to do python manage.py run server. You're going to see that, well, there is a quick error, include is not defined. And in order to do that, we just need to quickly add path include here. So we need to import include. And now you see that our web browser starts at this URL. Let's go to our web browser, type that in, and you see that we were able to start a project, but it doesn't connect to index.html. That is the very next step. You notice that we created the index.html, but it doesn't connect. You see that even though this is complicated and there are a lot of steps to it, once you get the hang of it, it's going to be really straightforward. So we've connected our environment to our playground. We connected our playground to rendering a view. And now we just need to tell Python where in the world that view is. In order to fix the error, you want to go into your settings.py and add playground or whatever you named your app to the installed apps. And then I just moved index.html into the templates folder because it is nicer, it looks better, and also it's more readable to people who want to look at your code. So you notice here that I just added a simple h1 header. My server is running, and you can see that now hi displays on my website. So the next step is going to be reading data from Python functions. And in order to do this, I'm just going to create another folder just called functions, and let's immediately jump into reading data from other websites. I'm going to be creating a file called fetchdata.py, and I'm going to create a function called getData. Within this function, I'm going to import requests, and from BS4 import beautiful soup. So requests are basically just simple old requests. You want to get something from a specific URL. That's requesting data from that URL. BS4 will actually find information within that page. So request kind of gives you the permissions, kind of gets you what's on that page, but BS4, Beautiful Soup, is what actually converts it to something that you can search through. So the URL that I'm going to be using is Yahoo Finance. You can actually just go immediately over to Yahoo Finance trending tickers, and you can see that it has a really nice table of information that you can just simply read. So in order to do this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to declare our URL as this Yahoo Finance page. I'm going to set response to requests.getURL. So we're basically getting the information from the URL. We're going to use Beautiful Soup in order to extract it. So we're extracting that data, we're parsing it. And then let's just grab some information. I'm just going to grab the names of the stocks. So if you go right and inspect the page, you notice, and you're able to like highlight on one individual column, you notice that all of this is just a simple table, and all of these elements are surrounded in a TD, and the name has the Arial label that says name. So what we can do is that we can say, well, the stock names, so this is going to return a list of all the stock names, is going to be soup.findAll TD, so table data, that has an attribute of area label that is name. So it's going to search for all TDs that have an area label of name. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to return data array. I'm just going to return stock names. But I'm not going to just return stock names like this. I'm going to create an array, so data array, and for I in stock names, I'm going to append the string of stock name I.text. Basically what I'm doing is that I'm saying that, okay, I get the fact that I'm getting TD, I'm getting that table data. But now I need to convert the information at that string into text. And then what we can do is that we can just return data array instead. So now this is actually the names of the stocks and not just the table data. So you're not going to be displaying HTML, you're going to be displaying actual names. Okay, this is great and all, but how do we incorporate this into the rest of our website? So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our views.py. And right before this, I'm going to just call this function here. So just from function import fetch data. And then I'm just going to say data is equal to fetch data.getData, or whatever your function name is. So for us, it is getData. And then here I'm going to be passing in the data by saying data. So this is basically just passing in a dictionary of information. And if you go over to index.html, we can display this on the template. So in order to do that, very straightforward, just we can do 2 double curly braces here, and inside I'm gonna just write data. Okay. And it says that no playground.functions because here I wrote function instead of functions. Looks like I made a few typos while I was doing this. I didn't close the string. And now, if you go onto our web page, you notice that we have an array of all the names from that website. And now you can just do different things with it, just like you would normally do. So if you wanted to create a for loop, for example, you can do a single curly braces and do the percent sign and say for I in data, percent sign. And then at the end of this, you want to say end for. And then now you can just type I. And what this will do is that it'll iterate through every element instead of just displaying the array. If you want to say an if statement, for example, if I dot length is greater than, let's say, 10, then we display the data. And then you also have to do the end if. And it's not going to be dot length, it's going to be like this upward line here. You'll notice that we get back some of our data. If I increase it, so for example, I say 20, you're going to notice that some of our data goes missing. If you want to do an else statement, for example, else you need to display it with the color red, you can do that too. So now you notice that all the short names are in red. So those are some ways that you can use templates with your data inside Django Python, and I really hope that this video was helpful. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.